Welcome to Retrograde. This is episode number 51, and today we're going to be discussing Super Smash Bros. Melee. My name is Jack Marshall. I'm joined today by Anthony Hobday.
Hello.
James McFadden.
Hey.
And filling in for Zan Fisher, Neil Skinner.
Ahoy, hoy. Friend of the show. I like the phrase friend of the show.
Yeah. Are you a friend of the show then?
Well, maybe.
Yes.
Acquaintance of the show.
That's eerie though, because that suggests to me that the show exists as one solid entity at any point in time, which I feel like it doesn't.
I like the fact that we have a show and that we can have friends of the show, so I like to use the phrase friend of the show.
Surely if you have a Twitter account for the show, then, you could say, you follow the Twitter account, then you're a friend of the show. You're following the show.
Okay.
I mean, we're on Facebook, so we have friends. Well, we have
So
likes.
if you're friends with us on Facebook and if you're following us on Twitter, then you are literally a friend of the show.
But you're not allowed to come stay with me or anything. Like, if you're visiting, you're not going to get put
You
up
can stay
for
with
the night.
me.
Jack speaking as the show. You don't have to come and stay with the show.
God. See,
I
this
don't know
is
where
why
the
there
show
shouldn't
lives. The show lives in the computer.
The show lives in the respective minds of all of our fans.
Surely,
That's
surely
some
the
new
show's
age
like,
bullcrap.
surely the show's like the Borg.
Yeah,
just one
it's-
mind, but many unique individuals.
We are all
Yes.
the show, surely.
So people get assimilated into the Retrograde Collective. You get cool,
I-
like metal stuff implanted in your face.
I like this idea most, that it's like the Borg and that we're taking over the world slowly.
Is this not a podcast?
It's more a collective consciousness.
A collective conscience. A reflection of the times.
It is a podcast, but like corporations in America, it's taking on a human status and it has friends. Like Neil. Neil's a friend of the
Are
show.
you asking me if you want to have a baby? Is that where you're going with this?
We've already had one, Jack. It's called Retrograde. Welcome to it.
I'm about to say we should put it down. You don't do that with babies, do you?
It's 50 weeks old. I'm not sure that's...
I miss Listan.
I don't think it's
We're
legal.
already into abortion jokes. There's no girl here. We're like, no abortion
No,
jokes.
guys, it's not a laughing matter.
Yeah, no, it probably isn't. So let's move on.
You laughed immediately after saying that. Kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah.
Also, the biggest abortion joke is you. So
Oh.
maybe we'll edit that out.
No, it's going in. Never gets edited out. No editing on this show. We go live, but we don't. Anyone got anything they want to share?
I do actually. I have something
Go.
big to share. Just before coming out today, I played a 70-minute match of Dota 2. 70 minutes.
That's why you were 70 minutes late.
Well, that's not just before it came out. That was like early this afternoon.
No, I finished that like 10 minutes
you
before I
win?
was going to leave. I won, yeah. I was playing Invoker,
No, you're
who is
really
known
good.
for being quite hard.
Oh,
because he
he's
has,
so hard to
He
play.
has 10 spells, guys.
10, jeez.
10 spells.
Is this a guy or a character? Is this some dude you know?
It's a guy and a character.
Well, I don't understand.
I've introduced you to Invoker, Jack.
I've never played Dota.
You live
Jack's
down-
Am I saying that right? Dota?
Yeah, I think so.
Am I saying it right? He lives down by the home base, Jack. Yeah, so that was kind of. I feel worn out physically and mentally from that. It's ridiculous. Nobody should have to play one game
Physically?
of Dota 2. Yeah,
Yeah, your fingers must be really feeling the strain.
they're muscular.
So when you play poker for too long, you're just bored. Oh, the cat's off your laptop.
Get off my laptop, cat.
I really hope the cat
I'd like to point out,
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show's coming.
Stanley Cat, and I'd like to point out that Jack has actually put his laptop on where Stanley jumps up on an otter.
You ridiculous man,
So-
Jack.
It's-
No, it's
all
okay.
right,
He's on the
it's-
windowsill so he can watch the world go by.
Yeah.
Listen to the show. In a minute, we'll start laughing in like a cat laugh.
It's kind of
Generally-
background laughing at all our jokes.
Generally, a
It's all
hissing
about
noise
melee.
is bad with a cat. That's not a laugh.
Apparently, cats only meow for humans as well.
Yeah.
Like cats don't meow
He
to
does.
each other.
No.
They just talk in English.
Yeah. So you've never watched Top Cat? That's a real life representation of feline society.
In the 70s.
No, now.
Should I get involved in Dota?
I think so. Yeah, I think everyone should at least try it. It's a very deep
Is it
game.
user friendly? It's got a good community out here.
No,
Very
it's not
welcoming
user-friendly.
Well,
community.
no, it's user friendly, but it's also very complex. If you're playing it with other people who are just starting the game, then it'll be sort of. I think you'll have quite a good experience. But if you're playing with people who've been playing for like 10 years on the original Dota, then you're probably gonna have a bad time. And that latter experience is more common in my
Free.
experience.
So welcoming
Yeah,
to
it's
new
free.
players then, very much.
No, I would say it's very unwelcoming to new players. But the Valve side of it, the UI and everything, the tutorial and stuff is really as welcoming as they can make it. But the community is kind of poisonous.
That's what Valve's great at, is polish. And that's why because we discuss this off show, because surprisingly enough we have conversations outside of Retrograde. But you've asked me about Evolved,
Yeah.
or Evolve. It might not have a D on
I
the
think
end.
it's
Was
evolved.
this like Turtle Rock Studios? wasn't it?
Turtle Studio, yeah, they were making Left 4 Dead 1 using Source Engine, or maybe they weren't using Source Engine originally, but obviously Valve bought them,
Yeah.
put the Valve polish in there, also made Left 4 Dead 2, hugely successful in my eyes, because I played like 800 hours of each. But They put a lot of effort into them. I really enjoyed those, and I think if Valve weren't involved, they wouldn't have been as good. Which is why I'm not really excited for Evolve, because they've essentially taken the tank battles from Left 4 Dead 1 and made them the entire game, but it won't have that same level of polish, because I think there's a reason that...
How do you know that, though?
Because as good
Valve
as...
could have been a nightmare publisher to
Valve-
work with. Valve
Valve
might have been
made-
trying to push it out the
Listen,
door.
as
No
good
way.
as good as Turtle Rock could be, I don't think they're going to have the same attention to detail and we'll release it when it's done as
Absolutely.
Valve will, because they haven't got all that money flowing in from...
Hold on, Left 4 Dead 2 came out like a year after Left 4 Dead 1, and people remember
That
people
was-
were furious about it. They were like, why are they releasing a game so soon with such lack of new features? It's
Well,
not
that was
even
an
a sequel.
that was an experiment to see if they could like do the yearly update, because it wasn't graphically a huge update; it was more the content.
Yeah.
And they brought all the content from the first one anyway, so they put a lot of work into it over time.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Valve are much more philosophical about their game design than most companies, because I mean they can they can afford to make a better game that isn't necessarily going to sell quite as much as either a more quickly produced game or one with more mass market appeal, because they've got a platform to sell and they want these kind of shining beacons that bring the community around.
And they get tons of money from the transactions in their store, so they don't
actually
even need to
the-
make games.
with the whole money angle. I don't know if you've heard, but the TI4, the big Valve hosted tournament for Dota 2, was announced.
The international.
I don't know why I didn't just.
People might not know what TI4 means.
Yeah.
And
And
I was a calculator back when I was at school.
It's kind of like
Graphics
that.
You used to play Dope Wars on it.
TI-83, but Valve haven't got to that yet.
probably fun. But the prize pool is mostly community
Yeah,
funded.
no, I've seen that.
So it started at 1.6 million, and it's already at 4.3 million.
But that's not the grand prize. That's like shared
That's
among
split
quite
between
a
the
lot
top
of
five,
competition.
I
now,
think.
but now the second place prize is almost as much as the first place prize was last year. Because
see.
they're doing
Right.
the way they're raising money for this is they're selling in-game kind of like journals, like in-game books called the Compendium, that let you like vote on your favorite teams and gain bonuses based on like fulfilling challenges and stuff.
Who's your favourite team?
My favourite team is Alliance. Their team called Alliance. They're all Swedish, I think. They're Scandinavian. I think it's Sweden.
Okay.
And they're cool. They're calm under pressure.
Do you know what the first place prize is?
Well, it's good. I mean, it's changing
At the moment.
I don't know what proportion of the
Firm
overall-
handshake, pat on the bum.
Because last year they had like, it was a
Last
million
year, I think it was 1.3 million.
for the top place,
For number
or the
one.
overall.
I think for number one it was 1.3, because last time the overall prize was 2.8 million.
How many players on a team get to share that amount? Like 6 or
Five.
something?
But I'm guessing they're all going because they're all sponsored. So
Yeah, there'll probably be like
200
sponsors
grand.
and people who funded them and coach and everything, if they've
Yeah.
got a coach on it.
200
What is
grand
it
each,
about
so-
the Scandinavians and like team, sort of like
It's a huge-
cyber sports, like in Quake
Yeah.
and Counter Strike?
Well,
I
it's
seem
just
to remember
a-
they always had the best connections when we all had modems back in the day. They always had these ridiculous 10 meg connections.
Yeah,
but
I agree with you. It's something about their culture. I mean, Base Hunter. Have you heard the Dota song that he released? That was huge, and that's Scandinavian. Like it's
But then
way
he
bigger for them.
re-released it in English and it became a... Oh, do you mean like a new one?
No, the old one from like the
Yeah, because he re-released it in English
Oh,
and,
really?
and made it about like falling in love with a girl, and
Oh,
it
I
became
think we
really
talked
popular.
about
Yeah,
this.
Weren't
Yeah.
you, Anthony, recently in Stockholm,
Sweden, yeah.
Sweden? Yeah. So,
Did you encounter any flagrant?
did you
esports?
find
Yeah,
any
because-
base hunter?
was
Any
it a better
base hunters?
place? Yeah. Any
That's the
place to
That's the point I was going to make. I didn't see like people playing Counter Strike on the streets, but there's a
on the
there's a
streets? You'd have to go to Ukraine for that one.
Yeah, that's like real life Counter Strike. So
But-
go on.
Oh, that was tasteless. I'm sorry.
one of the best
We just lost Ukraine.
one of the best modern Counter Strike teams is called Ninjas in Pajamas, NIP.
I remember Nip.
Nips.
And yeah, they've been around for ages, but they're in CS:GO and they're one of the biggest teams right now. They're winning most tournaments, you know.
Right.
It's all sort of back and forth, but they're doing really well. Number one, probably. And I remember I went to McDonald's and they were selling a burger called the McNip. And I wasn't sure why it was called that, so I looked it up and it turns out they have a competition called My Burger out there. And if you win, you get to name a burger that McDonald's sells. And the person who won the competition this time around, because it'll change every couple of months or whatever, was a Counter-Strike Go player and he's a big fan of Nip. So he made them call the burger McNip after Ninjas in Pyjamas. So they do have
You
an
sure it
esports burger, but it's not directly esports. They just because I asked the person behind the counter why it was called, I actually didn't know. So I had to look it up.
Are you sure it was not Andy McNabb and it was lost in translation? Just a turned up, barrel rolled in.
I feel like probably Sweden is probably more popular. I mean, Nip is probably more popular than he is in Sweden.
Oh, the innuendo just flowing there.
There's something, I mean, because last year, like I said, the prize pool for the international tournament was 2.8 million. This year it's at least 4.3 million. It's probably going to go up to maybe 5 or 6 million.
Right.
We're not
there's-
talking lira here, we're talking
No, we're talking pure US dollars.
US dollar.
And I'm just interested to see in the next decade or so how this kind of competition with these huge prize pools connects with sort of the global global feeling about sports, because obviously football is like a thing that most people in this country are involved with to some degree, but esports are still kind of the realm of the lonely nerd who has to have kind of an extremist sort of obsessive personality to get into it and then to do that stuff. So it'll be cool to see what happens.
There's a lot at the moment. There's like documentaries Valve just put about esports, but I'm always going to stand by one thing about esports, is that no matter what happens, football and sports like that and tennis are great to watch, because you can understand what's going on. If I watch Dota now, I'm not going to enjoy it, because the presenters will be going, "Oh my god, he just cast or whatever on it," and I'll be sitting there going, "I have no idea what's happening."
Yeah,
and
but
the crowd will go, "Oh," like that, and I'll be like, "What just happened?"
Yeah, but you can say the same thing about American football. The reason that's so popular in America is because everyone is indoctrinated into the rule set at an early age. Everyone understands that because they're told about it, because it's so popular in the first place.
Yeah, I enjoy American football purely because it's more complicated than football.
Yeah,
and I understand it more. Like, so it's more fun to watch to me because I understand some of the decisions that are going in. Whereas
exactly,
English football is a lot more
straightforward.
It's sort of more subtle, I guess, the skill set.
But it's a good example, because when I look at American football and I watch a game, I mean, I can understand and sometimes enjoy regular football. That if something really crazy and exciting happens, I get involved. With American football, I don't know the rules. I can't visually parse what's happening, so I'm kind of not invested.
American sports are made for people with low attention spans.
Oh,
they are. They're 15-minute adverts. In American football, the ball's in play for like 7 minutes. It's a game of like baseball is more of a game of chess than it is playing sport.
That's the thing with
they have a lot
American
of stop and start.
American sports, they've taken things popular and made that they've just concentrated on what make things popular, like the tactics in American football. I think is and the sort of the never-ending scoring of
it's like
basketball.
an RPG.
Yeah, and the NHL, which is awesome. Big up Vancouver, by the way. If anyone from Vancouver,
NHL's getting a lot more popular. All of our American listeners are like, "Oh my god!" But
We have no American listeners anymore.
NHL listeners are like, NHL ratings are really up on the up, and I think basketball's flailing a bit. But I could be wrong about that.
no.
Actually, I know
brilliant.
nothing about it, so I'm just going to go, nope, I don't know, actually.
But my original point was going to be that Evolve, I like the idea, but it's all about the execution, and Valve are much better at execution than most other companies.
So that's like rounders or netball.
Yeah, probably. We could probably tie it into this sport analogy.
Yeah.
Although it's a good thing we're talking about esports because
Super Smash Bros. Melee.
Super Smash Brothers.
I enjoyed how we just had a conversation with two of you with two different points going on. You were talking about Evolve, and he was talking about Dota. Somehow we got to the same argument.
Anthony misspoke when he said the original point was, because we segued and then he brought it back to his.
We did
other
segue, like, but because I hadn't finished that thought and it was in my head. I
We
wanted to
segued so hard that I can't remember what the original segue was.
I forced myself in there and wrenched it.
I think
Like,
the
we're
segue
off
was
the
about.
path.
The segue was about.
I'm in the middle of the woods thinking, where the hell are we?
It's
The
like
segue started about Segway racing as a sport and
You
how
can
it's really
do
on the
that.
up.
Yeah.
You can do that.
in Sweden.
Yeah, they've got a burger named after
We've got a
it.
competitive team.
McSegway, they're selling that there.
Ninjas in segways or something like that. Anyone else got anything they want to share?
You
before
would
we-
always hear them coming. It's like,
They
no, there's
lean.
ninjas around. Ninjas around.
They lean
Watch out.
slightly forwards.
You just see a Segway just on his own. Where's he gone? Anyone else got anything they want to share before we go into the game? Are we all done there, I think?
No, just the competition.
Oh, yeah, the Paul Monahan giveaway.
Paul Monahan giveaway.
What are we giving away this week, Anthony?
This week we were giving away, or this episode rather, we were giving away Bit Trip Runner 1 and 2 and Dust Force, because the theme I was going for was running about.
Nice.
And the winner
In Sweden.
of Bit Trip Runner 1 and 2 and Dust Force is Jacob Ingalls. So, congratulations, Jacob, you're the next Paul Monahan. We're going to contact you on Twitter with the codes for that game, or by email if that's what you prefer. You guys know that I go for a theme each time I try to. See if you can guess the theme for the next games we're giving away.
Smashing.
Go on.
That's actually...
Go on, what a game. What a
Games
game.
It's actually close, but it's not...
What are we giving away?
Games with brothers in them.
Super games.
No,
let's hear the games
I'm telling you the
first.
games and then you're guessing. Don't guess them.
Sci-fi.
Yeah, let's
noir
hear the games
thrillers.
first. Give me the games.
Oh my god, you got it. The games are Serious Sam 3 and Surgeon Simulator.
Blood? Like,
No.
Games
Saw?
that are really poorly designed but got
Whoa.
quite widespread acclaim because they were so
Whoa.
over the top all the time.
Whoa.
Serious Sam, are you kidding me?
Surgeon Simulator is fantastic.
Surgeon Simulator is renowned.
Excuse me,
for-
James, all the games you give away are fantastic.
Yeah.
These games are terrible. We're giving away. If you want to win them,
Surgeon
Wait,
Simulator
wait.
is a thing because it's so bad.
The theme is...
think about... Neil got pretty close, but
Smashing.
didn't really realise it was smashing.
What, so smashing people's ribs in? or
No,
something?
no, it's not about the... It's not about the...
Brothers. Super. Smash.
No.
Mashed
Well,
potatoes.
Listen to these three things. Serious Sam 3, Surgeon Simulator, smashing.
They all begin with S?
Lots of S's. That's the
Alliteration.
theme this time. Alliteration with S's, which is called dissonance, I think.
Alliteration theme.
I think alliteration specifically with S is called dissonance, but look that up because it's got a certain name, a specific name for it. Specific.
So these microphone spit guards are getting their money's worth.
We got the real stuff right.
I'd just like to point out that although I did recently in an interview badmouth both Serious Sam and Surgeon Simulator, they're still well worth winning. So please do enter our competition.
Did you say in an interview? Do you mean just now?
No. You're mistaken.
Nice.
I don't recall the event in question.
Serious Sam is awesome. I remember playing it at a LAN party once.
Well, if you want to win both Serious Sam 3 and Surgeon Simulator, we'll be putting the details on Twitter. You can retweet that. You'll be entered to win. We'll announce it in the next episode.
What's our Twitter handle?
It's at Retrograde Show.
Damn right, we've got a lot of followers on there. Thanks
You should also follow us.
Recently.
Yeah, we say stuff.
We've got up to, I think it's like 1,200 now.
It's more than that.
Oh, yeah, no, we're on. We're like 1,260, I think, and we keep getting new followers all the time, which is awesome.
Yeah,
Great
yeah.
news.
Cool. We don't just whore ourselves out. Either. We post stuff.
We had even more impressive.
Jack
we had a couple of tweeters recently. In fact, I'll look them up and I'll mention them in a bit. 'Cause it's more interesting that way. But we should go into the game, Super Smash Bros. Melee. So we're gonna have a quick brief blurb on the game from our guest VO, Brecky WK Thompson.
Thanks, Jack. Super Smash Bros. Melee is a crossover fighting game released for the Nintendo GameCube shortly after its launch in 2001 and is the successor to the 1999 Nintendo 64 game Super Smash Bros. The game is a fighting game centered on characters from Nintendo's video game franchises such as Mario, The Legend of Zelda, and Pokemon, in which the overall goal is to knock a player out of the arena area. Melee's gameplay system offers an unorthodox approach to the fighter genre as percentage counters measure the level of damage received rather than a health bar traditionally seen in most fighting games. It builds on the first game's broad appeal by adding new features related to gameplay and a much higher roster of playable characters. Following the popularity of its multiplayer gameplay, Melee has been featured in several multiplayer gaming tournaments. The game received universal acclaim from the media as well as awards and acknowledgements from gaming publications. It achieved strong sales upon release and is the GameCube's best-selling game with more than 7 million copies sold.
Awesome, thanks for that, guys. And if you have a blog, podcast, website, or whatever, anything you want to promote, get in touch with us on Twitter and you could be our guest voiceover for one of our shows. And now it's good to... How are your ears, Anthony? They alright?
Yeah.
They're feeling good?
Yeah.
Not feeling a bit spacious? Feel like you could get something to fill them in with?
Well, I almost feel like
Go on.
I need something to fill them.
Well, you know what, you're in luck, because this week we've been sponsored by Tweaked Audio. Oh. And you know what they do? They sell incredible headphones, all sizes, all colours. Put those in your ears, they'll sound great. Even better though, go on their site, use the promo code Retrograde, you're going to get 33% off, free shipping and lifetime warranty.
Well, that sounds amazing, but I've got one question for you.
Go on then.
You've already told me they fill my ears. Do they play music?
Well, you have to plug the other end into a device that outputs music.
Oh yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, so they will, yeah.
That's fantastic. They formed two roles then.
Part of their guarantee is that the headphones will play music at tweakedaudio.com.
If music is connected to them, it will amplify them into your lug holes.
I will double check that their headphones play music.
They're going to contact you like, no, excuse me, part of our guarantee is not that the headphones play music.
Jack, they're promising a lot. Are you sure about this?
You've screwed us there, Jack.
I know, but this is tweakedaudio.com and these guys are fantastic. They're just sitting there waiting to take your orders.
And they're willing to share a third of the price off of this if they just use a simple
code.
What code was it again?
Retrograde. The show you're listening to.
Will anyone ever remember that?
So you get 33% off the price, not the headphones.
Yeah, it doesn't come with like half a headphone, sadly.
That would be too bad.
So if you're listening to this podcast on a pair of headphones right now, they're crap. Buy some Tweaked Audio headphones.
Yeah, we should make lots of testis noises like that. So you can go, damn, I need some new headphones. I mean, like...
Next episode, Anthony will be using bass frequencies only picked up by subwoofers.
That's how he attracts women.
We could do like a comparison, like...
We'll do that.
This is what the show sounds like on Tweaked Audio headphones.
Yeah, we'll do that next week. That'd be brilliant. I'll get my posh voice out.
THQ.
Yeah,
THQ?
This is your ears. Yeah, like this is your ears, not on Tweaked Audio. This
is your ears on Tweaked Audio.
Yeah. Oh man, Tweaked Audio are going to be loving us. Yeah, but tweakedaudio.com. There you go. So we're here to talk about Super Smash Bros. Melee. I chose it. For the very good reason that I don't know actually. Yeah, just because it's kind of like a fan favourite.
Very good reason.
I don't know actually.
For the very good
no,
reason
actually, I'll go very far as to saying that it's a absolutely fantastic game. and it's also a real rare gem of a game because it did something that was quite like Smash Brothers did it kind of first, but bringing together all these characters from these different franchises and running Nintendo must have been quite a bit of a scary thing to do.
That's such a Nintendo thing to do, though.
I was thinking about this.
Was it really though? It was the first game that, I don't know. Okay, no. Mario Kart got everything from the Nintendo universe.
Well, Capcom and SNK, and they've been doing that, but.
You guys are stealing all my points.
Was that before Smash Brothers? Capcom? Oh, of course it was.
Yeah,
Marvel vs. Capcom. On the N64?
On the arcade.
Yeah, I remember the N64. I was like, what? Fox? Yeah. Mario? Donkey Kong? What?
I'm not sure when the Capcom crossover titles started coming to the arcade because that's obviously a different timeline. But that was the point I was going to make, was that Super Smash Bros. Melee obviously was one of the first, but I think Mario Kart is probably should be credited, unless I'm missing a game completely, with bringing all the characters from a company's like portfolio together into one game. Because they're all Mario characters, but putting them all in the same place and having them like compete outside of their usual environment was quite a big thing, I think. And Smash Brothers was the same, with bringing them across the entire spectrum of a company, not just one IP.
I think it kind of took until Mario Kart for a company in the gaming industry to have enough recognisable characters that they could bring them all into one game. I was thinking about that. Selling point.
Like maybe Sonic had enough characters. Sonic took until Sonic Racing probably.
Yeah.
To really put effort into that.
But let's be honest, they've always had to, like, I remember when Mario Tennis came out in 64 and suddenly Waluigi rocked up. And I was like, who the hell is Waluigi? And they, sometimes they do have to add in characters. They're like, oh, I better make up another one. Stick a W on one of this. Let's do Washi next week. He'll do. They just kind of make them up sometimes. But
Yoshi's been to the dentist.
I find it very impressive that, like getting all those IPs in one game. I like the way that they made it in, especially Smash Brothers and kind of in Melee. They made it kind of almost like their toys or their statues. Because I think it could be quite damaging to an IP as well. Like you wouldn't get I wouldn't see Disney. I know like Simpsons have done wrestling, but I couldn't imagine Disney doing a fighter.
They kind of did. Well, they did Kingdom Hearts.
Well, but you were all on the same team, though, weren't you? It wasn't Mickey and Minnie going at it.
That's true, but you were killing some of the villains like Sephiroth, etc. I suppose that's from Square.
That's what you want to do, yeah.
Well, like
facing Mario and Luigi off against each other.
It's one of the things I was going to raise. We'll talk about the competitive side of Super Smash Bros. Melee became huge. There's like documentary stuff about it. But one of the things that surprised me was that Nintendo are very. They've never made it directly clear, apart from the lead designer who did. But they don't like it being a competitive game.
Totally.
That's
why
it was intended.
They actively designed against that with the Wii version by introducing the weird random tripping mechanic.
You mean Brawl version?
Yeah, the Wii version. Yeah. The Brawl version, the Wii version. It was designed to actually stop competitive play, but they have embraced that now, because at this year's E3 they're going to have Smash Bros tournaments at some American GameStops, like across America, which is kind of cool. It's good that they've seen it live.
That they were designing, because I don't think it's strange. I think it's crazy to say that the competitive tournament has really helped Smash Bros as a series.
Yeah.
Because I think many people would buy it and keep playing it unless there's that competitive element to it.
Absolutely,
it's really passionate core fan base. So it seems strange that they would intentionally design something to actively harm. Like, I feel like maybe they made the decision and thought it might change up the competitive scene a bit.
I actually remember, I don't know if it was an interview with someone who designed the game or if it's just things I've heard from people who have been playing it, but it serves no purpose. There's literally no reason for it to be there.
Well, I know that it's less popular for competitive reasons, for competitive events. But it just seems strange that they would take that passionate fan base and be like, no, we don't.
Well, sorry,
finish your point with why. What do you mean that there's no need for it to be there?
Because it doesn't I don't play the Wii version really at all, and I haven't heard anything good about it. It's literally there to make the matches more random, so that skill is less evident, so that the competitive scene is less exciting and interesting. And that doesn't surprise me, because Nintendo are so ardent about their games being for kids. They are aiming at kids.
Pick up and play, isn't it?
It's specifically kids though. Like, Nintendo talk about games being.
The cat is near the laptop.
Don't worry, it's alright. Carry on, dude.
There he goes.
Nintendo are super against competitive gaming, that sort of stuff, and they definitely want their user base to be sort of the family type person.
Yeah, I find it hard to believe that they would. I mean, maybe not support it directly, but actively work against it. That seems like a strange decision business-wise.
I think that a lot of the decisions they make are strange business-wise. I mean, the marketing behind the Wii U was crazy. Like, that was literally a shambles. Literally.
The Wii U can still not play a DVD.
There you go.
Which puzzles me completely.
It's insane. It's because it's not a multimedia device, is it? It's a kid's gaming device, apparently, according to Nintendo. The whole 2DS thing is
It's
like
for the entire family, James.
I saw one of them in the wild at 2DS.
Oh, really?
It's actually quite big. It's really chunky. It's like a cheese
slab.
wedge.
It's like a slab, right?
Yeah, it's like...
And that's aimed for kids. They've done this entire redesign just to aim for like the below 6 range.
Well, because you can drop it on the floor without the hinge breaking.
Exactly, you're not going to snap it in half, which I think no other company... Sony would never do that. Are you kidding me? Sony would never design a specific piece of hardware to aim at such young children.
Bouncy Vita.
Yeah.
Because they put the touchscreen on the back of the device, because they're weird.
Yeah,
Some jammy fingerprints all over it. Ruins it in minutes.
What were you talking about before with the...
Competitive play.
Yeah, I watched a... Because I've been watching some matches of Super Smash Bros. Melee as... Because I like watching esports, as we've probably discovered in this episode. But I watched a grand final from a tournament for Super Smash Bros. Brawl because I want to see how it compared. And graphically, obviously, it's very similar because the Wii and the GameCube weren't a huge gap. But both the finalists were using the Meta Knight character. And then in the comments, everyone was complaining about how every final or every person who plays Smash Bros. Brawl, and this is probably not true, it's just hype, but... exaggeration rather, but apparently everyone uses Meta Knight because it's the only valid character, and it feels like Melee is loved just because there's a lot more variety and competitively it's a lot easier to.
What do you mean valid
justify.
Character? Is it like the Ryu and Ken? It's just
it's like tiers of characters.
Medium. It's just
You
So
get that
there'll
with
be-
every esport, though. I mean, I know in Dota 2 there are like 5 characters that are picked or banned every single drafting stage. I'm guessing in Counter-Strike Go there are certain guns that people are using all the time.
or it used to be the AWM or whatever.
Yeah.
The sniper rifle. Yeah.
I mean, no, in Counter-Strike they've tweaked them so much that every weapon has... I mean, there are some weapons that are never used, but every weapon has a valid role.
Well, same for Dota, but like I'm sure there are some that actually on paper are the best, right? Like they look sort of...
Yeah, but but the thing is, they're the most expensive, so actually getting to them is quite hard. So they've sort of worked in this... Because they do raise and lower the prices in patches because they realise that it's too easy to get an auto sniper or something.
I was going to say, there's a great article on a website called Not Enough Shaders by an interview with a guy called Carl Mercury, who was like brand manager for Nintendo America during like 2001, 2007, and he got asked in an interview about, he said in a tweet how it was like Nintendo told him for 7 years, no Smash, do not do Smash, and people ask him why, and he said, just a few quotes, like, it's from a promotional perspective, the game is almost always a guaranteed victory. It's easy mode. People love Smash, period. In this respect, it tends to swallow nearly all other titles it's placed alongside. But he said, to go on, he said, from a marketing perspective, Smash is dangerous because of the content play style of the game. Iconic Nintendo mascots beating the hell out of each other is awesome gameplay experience. No one will challenge that, but from an overall marketing view, it's very dangerous. The popular image of Mario, the widely publicised, recognised one, can never be of him beating the hell out of Princess Peach. And it's but he finishes by saying, don't get me wrong, I was thrilled to see Super Smash Bros. Melee at EVO 2013, but the outcry against Nintendo, the initial decision was so one-sided, so inconsiderate of what the company has to deal with to protect their brands, and just generally uninformed. Gamers want what they want, but there's always more at stake than we know.
I guess that's a very good point.
It's a very good interview.
Because Nintendo could actively promote this game as an esports thing and then really get into the esports scene and make the next game purely for esports players, because that seems to be a few years on the people who are playing it most anyway. But if they did, then I guess they would be promoting that image of Mario beating Peach, if that's the grand finals, and they're like sponsoring it.
But would the game be as good if it didn't have the recognisable characters? If it just...
I know, obviously not. No, you like the IPs.
Yeah. I think it's one of the biggest draws. Obviously, it's got the IPs in it. However, I think the mechanics and stuff and that are very solid enough that it could have been, Tekken or some random, game.
Well, Sony did it with Super Sony Smash Bros.
But it's weird because they use much less recognisable characters. I haven't played the game.
That's because Sony don't have as many recognisable characters.
Well, I think they do actually. They've got quite a lot of different IPs. But just going back to that topic for a sec, I want to know who made the decision that it would be catastrophic for certain Nintendo characters to be beating each other up, and I want to know what information they're using to determine how many sales that would lose them, because I think Nintendo should be pleased that the game is so relevant today in such sort of esports circles, and I want to know if they're just freaking out and are just totally covering every base by being so cautious about it, or if it's legitimately sort of rationally they're using numbers.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't got that much detail in the interview, but
I don't trust them to make the correct decision with that sort of stuff, because for example, again, the Wii U was just mishandled so grossly. I think
it's strange on that point that Nintendo would make the game and then be so cautious about promoting it, because you shouldn't be making a game you don't want to promote, obviously. But I mean, I guess it might be like a Japanese sensibility. They want to be on tiptoes just to avoid any potential setbacks.
Tiptoeing, treading on eggshells to make sure no one
That's the
kicks off.
problem with companies like Nintendo, because they're selling so many more copies globally, and the values in the West are so different to the values in Japan. The market is so much bigger.
Did you see the news item recently about it was a game about like simulating life, but it's quite a friendly one. It's like not very in depth, like The Sims or something. But there's no same-sex relationships in it, and then people pointed out that's not very inclusive.
Yeah.
And Nintendo said, well, it wasn't really meant to be a commentary on life or anything. And, like, it's not meant to be inclusive.
It's that
everything.
Tamagotchi life or something game.
So people were complaining at them, and I was thinking, well, if they decide to make it like it's not meant to be an all-inclusive game and encompass all of life like The Sims is. So you wouldn't want to include everything just to please everyone.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it shouldn't include same-sex marriages or same-sex relationships or whatever, but I don't think you have to include every variable of relationship.
How does that relate to Smash Bros. Melee?
Well, no, I'm just talking about Nintendo. That was their biggest controversy recently, and it was quite a small controversy because they came out immediately and said, "We apologise.
Fair enough. We'll stream it.
We'll keep it in mind for the next game you release like that." And I think they're very cautious to avoid any kind of controversy.
Yeah, totally.
Well, there's always the group of people, to quote The Simpsons, won't somebody please think of the children?
Yeah.
And, there's always someone who'll take offence from something. And
I don't think the people who are buying Smash Brothers are going to ever care about them promoting that kind of imagery.
But Nintendo being the family-friendly company, if suddenly they, like a domestic violence campaign goes against them, they're shot to pieces. Because, families won't buy the kids Nintendo anymore because it would seem to be promoting domestic violence.
Well, there was that Peter controversy where, no one should listen to Peter in the first place, but Peter contacted Nintendo and had a go at them because they used tanuki suits in the...
of course,
skin of raccoons.
People eating tasty animals.
They just do it to get attention, though, to their cause.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, you shouldn't pay attention to them, but obviously there is some controversy surrounding Nintendo, and I think Nintendo usually handle it quite deftly.
I remember,
so they're trying to avoid that sort of thing.
hearing about the lead lady behind Peter. And apparently in her will it says that she's to be skinned, and then her skin is meant to be sent to someone that Peter really hates. I can't remember who.
Yeah.
But that's happening.
She's absolutely nuts. Well, I mean, her will and testament is just like, what?
Yeah.
And it's things like, I want my eye to be delivered to a blue whale in the ocean. It's like, whoever's got organised this for her is going, right, pain in the arse.
They're not going to do it.
They're just going to throw a body in a landfill somewhere and goes, yeah, we did it all, she won't know.
Well, that's what all Peter do anyway with corpses of animals, just chuck them in a bin liner.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the way that Super Smash Bros. Have led to same-sex marriages and now PETA.
I wouldn't be surprised if Peter or PETA found this podcast by searching through audio logs on the internet and sued us for libel or defamation, whichever one is spoken. So, disclaimer, none of the things we're saying are proven. And
this is just allegedly.
Purely represent the opinions of Retrograde.
No,
they don't.
Hosts.
They don't.
Oh, you've ruined us.
Yeah, your opinions don't reflect my opinions.
Right.
Good
Yeah.
lord. I'd cry myself to sleep most
No, I'm
nights.
saying their opinions, not stated fact. I think we say that we call them...
Merely conjecture around the table.
Am I going to have to put a little voiceover now at the start of the episode going, the opinions expressed in this are not the reflection of the Psychon or Retrograde community.
No, I think we've
they are
just done it,
those
so
of
we're
the
fine.
Yeah, we just
individual.
I feel like Nintendo are kind of... They're sort of the reverse Valve in a way, because their decision making often doesn't make very much sense, and a lot of the games they release rely on the huge fan base and the huge IP tie-ins that they've got going on. I feel like sometimes they do things that nobody would expect, and sometimes it works out, but a lot of the time it's the Virtual Boy, a lot of the time.
realise what you just said could literally be applied to Valve as well. Valve have tried Steambox,
Valve,
new
yeah, but
controllers.
Valve are much
But
more
those things
successful.
haven't, panned out.
But what
Valve are a
I
much more
mean is, I would
successful
actually say
company,
that Valve and Nintendo are incredibly similar.
They're not, though, because Valve take so long to do everything, but when they do, they get it right. Valve revolutionized PC gaming. PC gaming is here because, Valve have essentially made it happen.
Yeah, but
this isn't...
Valve have done a lot. Like, people forget that Steam for the first 6 months was freaking awful.
First couple of years.
It was terrible.
absolutely.
It took them a long time to
when
get
was it
there.
ever
Wasn't it
not going to be?
an anti-cheat thing to start with?
It was also
It was
the
basically
Punkbuster or something
shocker.
like that.
It was also it was kind of DRM as well for the
And
Half-Life games.
from what I've been reading, the new controller and the new... See, but it's not bad, but people aren't exactly going mental for it and stuff like that. I think,
Yeah, but you have to take that in
Valve-
context. You have to realise that it's not designed for really Twitch-based platformers. It just is capable of playing them. It's designed for playing PC games on your sofa. It
Plus,
just
I think
can do everything.
James's point is that they'll keep working at it until they get it right.
Exactly. They have people who can
Well, I
and are
think-
capable of making those decisions.
I
Whereas
think Nintendo
Nintendo
will keep working on them. Look at their console
they have some
iterations.
brilliant designers. They have some really good designers. Like the Super Mario Galaxy games, they have the best level design I've ever seen.
Mario
But
Kart
some of the
8.
top level management in Nintendo is insane. Like some of the stuff they're doing is just bat crazy.
I think people forget that the only reason Nintendo keeps being brought up as this potential failure is because they don't have this backup revenue source that Microsoft and Sony do. And Microsoft and Sony tend to make, I mean, obviously they just had a huge console launch, tend to make way less money out of their consoles, respectively, than Nintendo do. But just because they have these backup revenue streams to shore it all up, it doesn't matter that they're losing money on every console. Whereas I think Nintendo have made significantly smarter decisions over the years in terms of making money and staying in the black as a gaming company.
I'm not sure I agree with you, especially recently, because I mean the Wii U has so far been a catastrophic failure.
This generation aside, I mean, because obviously there's brand new console launches.
The Wii was super successful, but the GameCube was a failure as well. It didn't sell for shit. Like it was really powerful and it had quite a nice library, but it wasn't popular.
It
didn't play DVDs.
Didn't play DVDs.
It did.
I loved the GameCube. I thought it was incredible.
The Panasonic G-Cube, or whatever it's called, played DVDs.
Oh, yeah.
But that was
you say like the N64. Nintendo decided to stick with cartridges when the whole world moved on to CDs.
Yeah,
and they had their reasons for it. But I mean, that's the reason why if I turn my N64 on now, plug a game in, it probably will work and be able to play it. Whereas, how many PlayStations are broken and knackered?
True. That's true.
And don't forget the N64. Well, I mean, if you go through that, you think, okay, well, memory cards and controllers, rumble packs, four-player split screen stuff, that all came from N64. And then put it this way, whenever E3 rolls around, I'm always excited to find out what Nintendo are going to do, because I'm always thinking,
me too.
They're going to do something. I'm going to be sitting there going, like, Sony, I'll just watch and go, yay. But Nintendo, I'll sit there and go, what are they bringing out? And every time, when they brought out the Wii, when they brought out the Wii U, when they brought the 3DS, every time I was like, what the hell are they doing?
Yeah,
here?
Me too. But it's often really terrible. I mean, personally, I think we really damaged gaming for quite a long time.
I think it revolutionised gaming.
It did not revolutionise gaming.
It took it away from the hardcore, the stereotypical.
You're not telling me that the Nintendo 64. You're not telling me the Nintendo 64, the SNES, the PlayStation 1, whatever. They were not hardcore consoles. Like, I feel like just name one. Okay, just do this. Name one Wii game that would not be better without motion controls.
Twilight Princess.
It would be so much better without motion controls, because you have to just
Wii Sports.
Call of
Wii
Duty.
Sports, definitely.
Call of Duty.
No, don't get me wrong. Yeah, motion controls. I don't mind motion controls.
Resident Evil 4.
Resident Evil 4 is so much better with the motion controls, to the point that I can't play Resident Evil 4 without them now.
That is one of my favourite games. That is one of my favourite games, and I can't play it on the Wii.
The cat has just walked on the laptop.
Didn't pause it. That's all right.
It turned blue. What's happened?
No, I think Nintendo have done more for the games industry than any other company have ever done for the games industry, including the Wii, including the last 5 years. 6 years.
I agree with you as far as the 90s go.
We should probably
as
talk
much
about
as
Smash Bros. Melee. To be honest.
I legitimately enjoy talking about this stuff, but yeah, we have a show to make.
Let's talk about Super Smash Bros. Melee. Well, that was very good points there. We'll come to that in another episode.
I like the single player better than the multiplayer.
That's a good point to go to, because I feel like the whole point of Smash Brothers, just like the whole point of, say, Battlefield, even though they put single player content in, is the multiplayer.
The thing I liked about Melee is the fact that you could it would so easily translate to a mobile game now, and the fact that you could play it on the bus, like 5 minutes worth, and it's absolutely hilarious. Kind of knock people around, have a good time, complete the game, and even when you complete the game, there's a mini game where you can shoot the credits.
Yeah. Best credits in any game ever. Just calling it there.
But it's just like it's a great game. It's for pick up and play. I think it's awesome.
I do like the multiplayer a lot. It's my favourite part of it. However, for some reason I found it incredibly addictive in the game. I had this on the GameCube back in the day. My most enjoyable thing for some strange reason was collecting the trophies.
Yeah, they were amazing.
And this was pre-achievements.
Yeah.
So it was just something about getting all the trophies and getting really annoyed when they dropped another bloody coffin trophy.
Yeah.
You'd be like, God damn that coffin trophy! I've got 7 of those now.
This is a comparison I wanted to make, because obviously the point of the game, which is not made extremely obvious, is that it's basically a child playing with Nintendo toys like statues.
Yeah.
Because at the start they're statues, then they turn into the real characters, so it's a very sudden transition. But I realised that's basically what led to, or maybe inspired, the whole Skylanders Disney Infinity craze going on right now.
It's a popular thing to do.
But Nintendo, because now you've got all these cross IP characters, cross-company characters, and that's really addictive because you want a certain character from a certain IP. But these other companies were sort of shady enough, I suppose, to realise that they could sell the actual figurines and make you buy all these characters, when Nintendo just put them in and made them unlockable. Which I prefer as a thing, because I don't want to spend all the money on that.
For Disney Infinity, I remember reading an interview with John Lasseter, who's creative director, and he said how, no, the Pixar guy, we don't want our Pixar characters in this game. That's not Sully. And then when they showed it to him in toy form and showed kind of the toy, its style they went for, he went, that's fine, because it's a toy of Sully. And I get the same feeling with Smash Brothers, that it's not Mario. it's almost like a weird form of Mario. It's not like it's a Mario adventure, I guess, but it's different from like Mario Kart. In Mario Kart, it is Mario, but in Smash Brothers, I don't know, it's not. It is like a toy. It's like a hologram.
It's
of
like
Mario.
the Lego Movie if you've seen it. You know, the whole fact that the whole film's based around someone playing with them. Yeah, you can see, because it's not like when I was a kid and I was crashing cars together. When I made a crash, of course, the cars, I chucked them, flung them around and stuff like that, which is what Smash Brothers does. When you knock someone off, they go absolutely miles.
Yeah, so like the stages are just floating platforms in the air. They're not like solid places. They're not like Street Fighter where you feel like you're in a street. They're just platforms floating.
It's more like
around.
a simulation than a real setting or something.
Yeah.
I can sort of see that. But
Carry on.
what was I saying? Oh yeah, so I feel like Nintendo basically started this whole trend of cross-company IP, integration, like putting them all together and saying, let's have them do something together for funsies. And that's quite a cool trend, but I think I prefer how Nintendo does it just because they put all of them in the game and it's one cost and then you can play with them all.
One, I guess, marketing benefit I can imagine of doing that, which I reckon Sony did a lot as well, is that it's quite a good way of like subtly launching a new IP. For example, there's a couple of characters in there like Marth, who
Ness.
I don't think...
Who's Ness?
Earthbound, I think.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of games in there that didn't get Western releases. Like Kid Icarus, I think, appears in Melee maybe first, or maybe it's Brawl before the Kid Icarus game came out.
I think it was alongside the 3DS one.
Yeah, but it's a good way of launching a new IP. Like I said, with Waluigi turning up in Mario Tennis, I was like, who the hell's this character? And now he's one of the regular cars.
That was a household name.
Yeah, everyone knows him, Waluigi. But is it Waluigi or Waluigi?
Waluigi.
They didn't even bother to go Waluigi. They just went Waluigi. Just
No, because it's Wario.
Yeah, but it's not Mario.
Wario works better because it's just an M but upside down. But Waluigi's got WA in front of Luigi's name, like it's not.
If you turn an L upside down, what do you get? You get kind of this, like a Russian.
It's like a reverse 7.
No, you get an R.
Yeah, but it's like a 7, but the other way around.
Luigi.
Luigi.
There we go.
Luigi.
Luigi's a lockable character.
That's his name in Japan, isn't it? Hey.
That's racist.
That's racist, dude.
But what was I going to say? Yeah, so it's a good way of launching an IP for a character, I think. And I think that's why Sony always kind of wanted to do it as well, because there's a couple of characters in there. I was like, ooh, the hell are this lot?
Parappa the Rapper.
Parappa the Rapper, Rayman and Croc turn up. It's like, sorry, no, you're not on the list.
They have a huge history of just ripping off Nintendo ideas like 5 years after the fact, though. Like, I think they saw a successful
like The Last
game.
of Us.
Yeah, like The Last of Us. I think they saw a successful game, and they was like, we're getting a bit of that,
Well, like Marvel have done it incredibly well, haven't they? Marvel have now managed to launch all these IPs of characters that no one cared about. Like Captain America was dead until like 5 years ago. Who cared about Captain America? He was right weird.
Like comic book fans.
Captain comic book fans. Yeah, but they're not Marvel.
Well, I mean, yeah, Marvel are obviously big in this because they make games like Marvel. No, not Marvel, but Marvel has Capcom by Capcom. Street Fighter X, Tekken. All those games that are crossovers, those are huge in the fighting game industry just because suddenly you can have your favourite Marvel characters fighting against your favourite... Even though, I don't know what's holding them up, maybe because they're rivals, but Marvel vs. DC has to happen. Especially now that Marvel has a fighting game and DC has a fighting game.
Yeah.
Wait,
I mean, they're made by different companies.
Are you saying Marvel vs. DC has to happen?
Yeah,
it won't happen.
Never going to happen.
Yeah, because there's no way Marvel ever want any of their characters to be beaten up by a DC character and vice versa.
Mario vs. Sonic happened in the Olympics, so if that can happen,
but
why
Sega
can't...
failed consoles.
So I'm waiting for DC to fail so that Marvel can be like, yeah, we'll buy your characters.
Do you know when they did Who Framed Roger Rabbit? How much trouble and legal loopholes they had to get through to get Disney and Warner Bros. To agree to put characters in that film. Like, it was nuts. Like, Mickey does not... I think he only appears very briefly in the film because they were like, there's no way Mickey could be in this. He's too much of an IP for us.
This is similar... nuts. This is why I was surprised. I remember being pleasantly surprised when I was reading the interviews about...
Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
No, the film about video games by Pixar, the recent one.
Wreck-It Ralph. I was going to say that, yeah.
Wreck-It Ralph, because they had all those characters in there at the start, mainly, and it turns out they had a really easy time of convincing them to put them in the show and let them do their own thing with them.
And so I guess Nintendo,
they had a few hurdles. Yeah, Nintendo weren't happy about Bowser Robotnik being different sizes and stuff.
But I remember the interview they were saying it wasn't too bad. It was usually things like, this isn't how Bowser would drink his coffee. So it wasn't like huge, we want him to be nice only. It was like, you can do what you want, but make him act a certain way. So, I mean, I'm guessing, with most games, that sort of thing is hard to pull together. Obviously with Nintendo, it's not hard for them to put all these characters in one game, because...
So, something about Smash Bros. Menno that I learned when researching the game was I didn't realise how much of a competitive scene it had.
Yeah.
On YouTube, there's a documentary series called, I think, Smash Brothers, I think that's actually a name.
The Smash Brothers.
The Smash Brothers, and it follows like the 2001 all the way up to 2013, all different. Like there's a guy called Mango and Ken and all these characters, and very kind of like ups and downs and turbulent times of the industry. I had no idea it existed as a competitive scene. I mean, I'd heard of like Smash Brothers
big.
Melee.
I mean, as far as fighting game go,
I was genuinely blown away. But then, what's very good about the documentary, and there's a great story. There's a great kind of expression to have in it where they say how like everyone in their local town or in their local school knew someone who was the best at Smash Brothers and who could beat everyone. And they were saying how, but the moment they came along to one of these sort of tournaments that were like professionals, I guess, would play, they'd get absolutely destroyed.
Yeah,
and that's something about. I think the reason that Melee became so kind of popular and suddenly getting this hardcore massive, and Nintendo had, I think, is because there's a lot of, I want to almost say, exploits. There's like things that happen in the game they hadn't really prepared for. There's a lot of moves. Just think of like wave dashing and DI, which is like directional impact.
The best part
stuff.
of games were glitches, like rocket jumping and people counting frames in Street Fighter.
Yeah, and obviously
like
combos in Street Fighter were technically glitched.
Smash Brothers is probably one of the most insane I've seen for that level of people. There was a guy called Mewtwo King that like broke down frame by frame exactly what was happening, and he worked out that even if it gave him a single frame advantage, he would try and use it.
Well, things like frame advantage are huge now in fighting games. I mean, probably when Street Fighter 2 was big as a competitive game, still is obviously, but back then they were probably still thinking about it.
I mean, I've never worked with like any like Nintendo designers, but having worked with game designers, I know they don't go to that level of detail in their games.
Some of them do. I mean, Ice Frog from Dota does.
Yeah, they're designing it for competitive people. I think that's
I imagine StarCraft 2 took so long to come out because they had to spend so long to make sure they couldn't give any sort of advantage to any sort of character. But it must be. I remember working on the racing game Pure. And when it got released, they found this little kind of exploit where, because you could hit a bump and do a little
copies.
No, you could hit a bump and do a little trick, and you could train together really quickly. So they were just generally throwing themselves into objects at all time, just bouncing off doing these tricks to get millions of points to score. And we were like, I had no idea you could do that. And I tested that game for like a year.
It's like Quake 3. I seem to remember if you capture frame rate either 125 or 333, there's a rounding bug in the physics engine. You can actually jump further. So
really?
there are bits of the level that you could only get to if you like ran as quick as you could and jumped on the last pixel of the last frame, and then you'd end up like in the wall somewhere and be able to snipe people.
Speaking of Quake,
that actually reminds me. Anthony and I both had our hands up there. I decided to speak first to assert some kind of social dominance. That reminds me of Call of Duty jump maps. I don't know if any of you guys have ever heard of these, but essentially they were, you download custom maps for. I'm assuming this happened for other games, but I played the Call of Duty ones. You download maps, and the whole idea would be just like it's like an obstacle course in that game's engine, and you jump from one end of the level to the next end. And there's a thing called strafe jumping, where you had to run sideways like in a circular arc, and then turn as you were jumping, and you'd go like twice the distance.
Yeah,
strafe jumping is really
bunny
common.
hopping. From the original Quake World had bunny hopping. You didn't in Quake World. You never actually had to press forward once you were going. You just kept jumping and moving the mouse left and right, and you would just ping off corners.
Oh, so this is kind of a universal thing. In various,
bunny
So it's to do with the limitation of being in a first person view, because I know I saw there was one recently. I think it might have been like a source mod that someone's made, where the whole idea is you just slide along edges.
Yeah, the surf maps from
surf. They call it like surfing, and you can just slide along edges, and that it's kind of limitation of using like camera controls from a first person perspective. That it's something that has to happen physically, otherwise it would be too.
It's the gradient of the slope. They found that if it's like that exact gradient, then you won't slide down it immediately.
I seem to remember though. Something is ringing a bell. It's either that or I saw it as a Quake mod. That you went to like Tony Hawk. You went around grinding off bits of like the scenery because it was just at the right angle.
Yeah, that was probably surf maps. But
speaking of points, or do you want to?
Speaking of Quake, because you guys are talking about examples of glitches and how they're really used in competitive scenes, like wave dashing and Super Smash Brothers.
You have to be careful with what a glitch is, though. It's not a glitch; it's an exploit.
Right? Exploit. I guess as a tester, you'd have to separate those things out.
Glitch is a word we've never. A glitch, if anyone wants to know, is when a bug when they used to have the old computers that were like reading cards, like dot. A glitch when a bug actually fell in and it would get squashed, and they would call it a glitch. A glitch now is only referred to like. No, it's true. A glitch
You're
now
bastardizing history, Jack.
A glitch now is just referred to as like a graphical issue.
I've
something
heard
that's
that
like
as well.
rip.
No. What he's talking about is the first ever computer bug, which is why they're called bugs, because a moth fell into the computer and they found it and taped it on the piece of paper. And
they were called glitches.
No, look it up. It's called a bug, and that's why it's called a bug.
I don't know. I know that. I think you're both half right. I think you can see. I remember reading it, but yeah. I hate the word glitch as a programmer. I prefer the word bug. Yeah, a glitch to me sounds like a spotty teenager going, I found something wrong.
We have to call them issues.
That's essentially what we're doing right now, though.
Yeah.
But to make my point, and look up the history of computers.
An exploit is something in the design that wasn't intended by the designer that can be a benefit to the gamer.
Yeah, so an exploit
a
name.
loophole, if you will.
Yeah. One of the original examples was with Quake and bunny hopping, because they found out it was possible.
Yeah.
John Carmack wanted to take it out because he said in films like Aliens they don't bunny hop down the corridor, because he wanted Quake to be this like, or maybe no, yeah, he wanted Quake to be this super realistic action movie style. And he nearly took it out, but the competitor community really didn't like that because they were using it a lot, obviously. And now bunny hopping is in every game like that, every modern.
Well, there was a Counter-Strike equivalent, but they actually did take it out because Counter-Strike was meant to be more realistic.
Yeah.
I think there's various versions of like Quake World Pro Mode and stuff that came out that actually retain the original like physics. Of
in
bunny
Pro Mode
hopping.
you can just hold down jump before you hit the ground and it'll re-jump for you, so it's got like some easier.
Like James was saying, one of the reasons that Brawl was very popular in the competitive scene was because they removed a lot of this stuff, and it was insane because what was great about Melee and these guys, these competitive players doing it, is like they would discover these things. They weren't like stuff that they just used. They would over time have gone, hold on a second, like some of the moves weren't discovered until about 3 or 4 years into competitive scene. They were like, oh, what's this thing? This DI stuff you
I
can
bet
do.
they couldn't wait to bring that out in a
that's the
competition and be like, oh man, and everyone.
Well, I think that's in a way why Melee was so popular, because it was never a game designed to be competitive, and I think that shows in the mechanics, in the fact that it's quite mental.
Yeah.
Like they play, obviously they play in the professional scene without objects because it makes it too random. But that's what the game almost felt like it was. It almost feels like there wasn't a lot of balancing among the characters because
it
was just meant to be nuts. It was meant to be fun. Even their moves they're not moves, they're weird mental things you can do. Like Mario could pull out like a water shooter, I think that's in Brawl actually, and they can just do weird things like
Kirby turned into a brick.
Yeah,
I always thought it was bullshit that Kirby could just like float up, even if he was like miles off the screen. He could just float up back onto the platform.
I think as well. I mean, it's not meant to be like an esport, because the fact you don't die at 100%. You can, as long as you're nice and cozy, you can actually stay on the map and take a lot more damage.
Yeah.
Than it's not like.
I think that's what makes it so liked by a lot of people, is it's especially the competitive players, is hardcore players, because it's trying to find sense in all the chaos. It's trying to find order to the madness of it all.
Are you kidding me right now?
No, seriously, I think it is. I think people like getting all these characters and having to learn their insane stuff they can do and learning how to counter them.
It's a lot of variables to keep in mind.
Yeah. I think it's also partially like, for me, this game is to fighters as Super Meat Boy is to platformers, because although I'm terrible at it, it feels like I have absolute precise precision over whatever I'm doing. Like, it feels like what my mind is coming up with is happening on screen, which you can't say for many fighting games, especially like
I can't say that for this one.
No,
Oh, really?
Especially when
No,
you've got 4 people just like jumping around and there's particle effects going everywhere, and you're just like, where the hell am I?
Well, it might be visually confusing, but if you're actually looking at mechanically what your character is doing, it feels to me very precise. It feels very.
I like that I agree with you in some ways. I like that there's elements to it where they obviously give you the skill set. They give you the move set. For example, when you fall off the platform, a lot of characters have maybe 2 ways that they can either jump up or they can do like a double jump. Is it 2 moves that allows them to kind of jump back up?
Kirby has the
And it's
sword,
cool.
the sword arc thing.
Yeah, it is cool. And obviously some Kirby has I think Kirby can float for quite a while, so he can normally get back on a platform quite easy. And it's stuff like that that's very cool, because you suddenly think, oh my god, I know what I've got to do here. I've got to press up B and try to go boing and get back onto the platform.
That's why it's strange, because Nintendo said they didn't. Well, the designer said he didn't intend it as anything but a party game.
Yeah.
But he put so much depth into this game that it's strange that he's not designing competitive games, because he really should be, since he's thinking out all
Did
these
he have
things.
anything to do with Mario Party?
He might. Well, I'm not sure. They might just borrow.
Director was Mashiro Sakurai. I could have a look at what he's worked on.
You've got to wonder how much of it was a happy accident in the first place, though, and how much of it was intentional design.
Yeah, I mean, it's just strange that they would put all this thought into the different, like 2 different moves to jump upwards,
Yeah.
but then not really consider it a competitive game. But
I think they got the kind of basic, almost like the rules of the game. There's like there are set the percentage goes up a certain amount. The higher you fly off, the lower your gravity is. The strength, the harder the hits, things like that. And then once they got that and they got the groundworks in and they got kind of almost default characters in, then they just went nuts and gave him all weapons, gave him all moves, done this thing. What's his move going to be? Oh, he's going to do this. And it's almost evolved a little bit. It comes around now in like Mario Kart 8. Where every character's got his own glider, every character's got his own car, every character's got his own special move and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe it's like a bit of a Nintendo technique of just throwing in so many flavors into the broth and hoping that it all comes out delicious.
I think Lizanna said, like, when she played Mario 3D, there's so many mechanics you use once and once only.
yes,
So
you haven't got the time to get bored of it.
It's not
That's
like
a classic
MasterChef where you
Mario
have
design.
it's not like MasterChef where you have 3 or 4 ingredients stacked delicately to try and complement each other. This is a stir fry.
It's one of the reasons I think Mario Galaxy, like it happens a lot in Mario Galaxy, where it's like, okay, you've got the basic groundwork because the jumping around, the physics, and that's it. And then they just throw all these little things in, like you jump on a ball, you ride on the back of a manta ray and things like that. It only ever happens once, and you don't have a chance to get bored of it. Like there's one power up in Mario Galaxy where you turn into a spring. I think I only ever had it
That was
once.
terrible.
Yeah, I only remember that because
Oh,
it was a
man.
terrible mechanic. I hated it. It wasn't a power up; it was a power down.
But a minute ago, someone mentioned the life mechanic, 100%. Or you start at 0% and go upwards, and then the higher you go, you can go forever. But the higher you go, the easier you are to knock off the screen.
Well, can you go forever though? Is there not a point at which any
might be like
sort of damage-
500%.
I think you get after like 150.
You can get knocked off
ridiculous.
after 20% and stuff. If you're at the edge of the screen, you get like smacked.
But can you get like blasted off? 'Cause, like there's that one type of attack where you'll just go like 50 feet off the screen.
Well, no, that's usually when you're high enough, like that'll work. But if you
Is it
use a smash
just-
attack and they're on 0%, they won't fly
attacks,
as far.
Is it just that like they're going much farther based on how high the percent is, or are there 2 different types of attack? One that just knocks you off, and one that literally blasts you off.
No, there's one like medium strength attack or whatever, and one smash attack where you power it up. And the smash
that's
attack,
the-
if you're on 0%, that's the biggest damage you can do. But we won't go as far.
Yeah, I imagine the mechanics of it just like affects the higher percentage to the lower their masses once they've had a hit or something like
Yeah,
that.
the same as the
Yeah,
Kirby
fine.
brick. I think that's his smash, isn't
Yeah.
it? That's great. Float up, down, bosh.
Well,
But no, the point was going to be, just quickly, that's one of the reasons I find it so fascinating is that all these other games have a life bar that you start at the top and you get to the bottom and then you lose a point, right? Or the other person gains a point. And when that happens, usually they reset. And I'm talking about like 2D fighters. Because you lose your life and then you'll both go back to full life and you're starting from scratch again. In this, the reason I find it so fascinating competitively is that you can take one of their lives off one of their stocks, whatever you call it, but you're still at, say, 110% and they've got an easier time of getting you down. So it's like, it sort of evens out a good player against a slightly worse player just because the good player is stuck with lower life, if you will.
Yeah.
Some of the new Street Fighters do that when you have like
yeah,
teams
you
of
switch
3.
characters or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I enjoy Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 to watch. But
Should we go into the trivia?
Yeah,
part of the game?
definitely.
Not a lot of trivia actually, so should have gone
Trivia
trivia. Mario's first appearance in a game higher than an E rating than everyone.
Oh.
Because this game was obviously a bit violent, which again kind of goes in with him saying about the marketing of Mario that he only
Yeah.
ever appears in E games. The only one he's ever appeared in that's higher. Well, and other Smash Brothers.
Are you
games.
talking about, is it just PG? Is it the next one up? It's not an 18.
Yeah, it's 15 plus, I think, X-rated. The game was in development for only 13 months, which is quite short for the size of the game it was. And lead designer, I think Sakurai, or maybe director, he called his lifestyle during this period destructive, where he had no holidays and very short weekends.
Probably why it was only 13 months.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Well, but 13 months for a game development is pretty insane.
that's
to go from
ridiculous,
pre-production to
ridiculous,
release is nuts.
That's what I'm saying, maybe he didn't sleep and that's why he caused it
I
torturous.
imagine it was all-
But I actually have some trivia if you don't mind.
I've got one more, but go on, you go.
Oh no, you do yours first.
No, the only one I was going to say was that video game developer Hideo Kojima was really wanted to get Solid Snake into it, but Sakurai said it was already far too much into development, and Sonic as well. Sega team really wanted Sonic in it.
Well, they got them both
but
in
they
Brawl.
both, go into Brawl. So there you go.
I remember reading about Smash Bros. Melee in a article I was reading, which is really fascinating. It was on Cracked.com, I think. But it was about insane attention to detail in games, and one of the examples we covered in the previous show was the ice melting in Metal Gear Solid 2. They wrote this protocol, for the algorithm for melting ice, and never used it again.
Ridiculous.
And Metal Gear Solid games are famous for that, but one of the examples in this article was Super Smash Bros. Melee, because they have a trophy of a Metroid. You know, the virus from Metroid. Metroid, of the titular Metroid. And it's in a glass canister, and there's a reflection of the glass canister, and the reflection is of the environment you see the Metroid in Super Metroid from the SNES, the start screen.
Right.
So they actually put the reflection in just to... Because if you figured out reverse reflection, you'd see like this machine that the Metroid is in when you see it in Super Metroid.
Yeah.
They did the same thing with Metal Mario Trophy on like Metal Mario's like nose as a reflection of the environment he's in when they took the picture, even though he's not in an environment in the game.
Right.
So they took the time to put this detail in, even though no one would notice it before this Cracked.com article was written.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I think that attention to detail is really fun. I just don't know why they put the effort in, especially when they've only got 13
It's
months
kind
to
of,
develop it.
it's indicative of it being at least partially a passion project for whoever's involved, right? Because that sort of thing, you never see that in a terrible, sort of cheaply designed game. It's always in something that is really popular and is really, really well done.
Yeah.
Because it's not just, they're not doing that one-off and then like, okay, now the rest of it's just bare minimum. It's just they're doing that because they're putting more than the necessary amount of effort into pretty much everything.
Yeah. And you've got to remember the artist, who did that. He was like, I need to get a reflection texture. What reflection texture can I get legal-wise? Or I'll have to go find somewhere. What can I use? He probably, maybe he just thought, screw it, I'll go to Metroid SNES, take a picture of the title screen and just stick that on it, because I know I'll be legally alright to do that, because we own it.
Oh, but he could have used like a light reflection, just
I don't
pure
mean,
light.
he could have just done a blob of white.
Maybe they had this sort of thing that Google do, is where the employees get 5% to kind of work on their own little ideas, and some of the programmers thought, I know, I'm going to do this little cool thing because it's on my own time.
That's kind of why Valve are so good, because that 5% for them, according to most interviews and most things I've read, is the 100% in the development cycle.
They just like what to work on, right?
Well, with Google, I think Gmail came from a 5%. Some
Google have a 20% time thing. I think
we do that.
20%.
We do that at my work. We adopted it from Google. Every 2 weeks on a Friday, we have Funky Friday. We can just work on whatever you want.
And you can wear jeans.
You can wear jeans, go mental, eat chocolate.
I'm working on eating a pizza. I'm 20% of my time.
It has to be related to the actual area of work.
Oh, I see.
I can't just go in and go, I'm going to master wave dashing on Smash Brothers Melee tonight.
I see. They put limits on you. Yeah, or do whatever you want, but we put limits on you. It has to be something that'll make us money.
You can't work on a hangover.
As for a tester, it's a pain in the butt, because someone will make something and they'll go brilliant to ship it, and I'm like, whoa, I've got to test that for about a month now. Don't just put it out there. But anyway, right, that's the trivia closed. Let's go into
that's the wrong one.
Trivia closed. Let's go into the retrograde part of the show. I chose it, so I'm going to say that we have to review this as one of the characters from the game. Is that not good enough?
It's terrible. Think of something better now.
Okay, then you have to grade it.
It can't be something in this room.
You have to grade it as though it was based on a public holiday.
Hey?
Okay. No, I like it. It's cool.
It's way harder.
So a holiday, like something that, like St. George's Day or Easter.
Okay, I'm going to do it.
Like
I'm going to do it. Halloween, because kids love it, and it's very popular in America, but I was never too fussed.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to go with St. George's Day, because you said it, and St. George fought the dragon, and in this game, you can be Mario and fight Bowser. And it's the kind of fighting Bowser where you can punch him in the face, rather than you have to, knock back fireballs. When really what you want to do in a Mario game is get out there and beat him up, right? You don't want, he keeps stealing your princess.
Or shoot him with a laser, which you can also do in this game.
Yeah, this game allows a lot more ways to fight Bowser as Mario than you are allowed in a Mario game. So St. George, because he fought the dragon.
You're quite a creative person normally, but when we do these metaphors, you always suck at them.
Oh, wow.
You do, though.
I thought
I've noticed every episode. What was one last week? It was
I think it was 9 out of 10.
Fantasies. And your fantasy was playing the game that we were playing.
I think my metaphor last time was 9 out of 10. So yeah, this is like a 9 out of 10 because it's 9 out of 10.
Sorry, fantasies is in fantasies.
Yeah. Literally fantasies.
It could have been
swimming in
any kind of fantasy.
Oh, no, I'm thinking of
not a sexual fantasy necessarily.
Well, it could have been though. If that game meant so much to you that it was actually inciting some kind of arousal, then a sexual fantasy would have been absolutely fine.
So like sexual random encounters.
Yeah,
just walking down the street and it all goes blurry.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I can defend myself. You call me creative. First of all, I'm not a creative person.
Are you not?
Second of all, any creativity you might get from me is because I spent a lot of time thinking about it. And when I'm given public holidays in the UK or anywhere to think of how to rate a game, I don't have enough time.
What about this painting you've been painting? For
yeah.
Oh, this is a copy of Van Gogh. It's not really.
I'm going to go with Thanksgiving, even though I don't celebrate it. Oh, that's good reason, because I don't actually celebrate it that much. I don't play it that much, to be honest. I don't do Thanksgiving much.
American or Canadian?
American. But, however, it's a massive meal, loads of flavours, and you get completely stuffed on it. I can only really play it once a year because it's just too much to go through in one go. It's Thanksgiving.
Oh,
and you get to play it with all your family and friends, and you normally end up arguing.
Oh, that's good.
I had a really creative idea, actually.
Go.
Oh,
okay,
careful.
American Thanksgiving, because I don't really play it that often, but it's a massive meal, there's loads of flavours, and you play it with your family.
That sounds like
I stopped listening.
Thanksgiving.
Is that what you're going to go for? You're the Canadian Thanksgiving.
No, I'm not actually. I mean, I have many choices, but they all kind of mean the same. If you're going for public holidays, fireworks night in England, or Independence Day, or maybe if you're Indian, Diwali, which is just like it's masses of colour and light and firework displays. They're very.
Which one are you picking now? Okay, you can't have.
Okay, I'm English. Fireworks night, but you go and see a firework display. It's crazy like light show, music, explosions. It's great fun, But
do you reckon the rest of the world know about Bonfire Night here in the UK? How we celebrate Guy Fawkes almost blowing up Parliament.
We celebrate an act of terrorism by trying to reenact what would happen if it was successful.
I never get that.
No, that was Jack's point in one of our episodes, and I don't think it's true.
What?
Jack's point was, don't they do the fireworks to show what would have happened if Parliament had blown up?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's why they do it.
No, I don't think that is.
It is.
No,
it's because we all hate politics.
I think it's to display society's mastery over fire and how it can never hurt us.
It never has yet.
Right?
No, but that's why we burn the guy. Kids go around, again, if people don't know this in Bonfire Night, kids go there, build a dummy that's like called Guy, because it's Guy Fawkes. And do I have to explain Guy Fawkes? Guy Fawkes tried to blow up Parliament.
I think you should explain it in
failed.
excruciating detail.
Remember
16 and 20... I don't know when it was.
Russia?
Who was the king? King Edward? I don't even know.
I don't know.
Henry?
Okay, well, we can imagine that most
I like
countries...
that you're guessing.
He's got an iPad there and he's not even referring to it. I think most countries have a firework-based celebration.
Yeah.
So, whatever your local firework-based celebration is, I think the game is that.
That's much better than mine.
Very loud and colourful.
Most of their celebrations are fireworks and then something else, but ours is literally the entire point of our one is the fireworks. So that's
and we decided to do it on a very cold, horrible November evening.
It did have a different point, but we've forgotten it.
Now,
just like Christmas and Easter.
It's to celebrate. It's to remember that Guy Fawkes tried to blow up Parliament.
No, it's now to celebrate fireworks.
It's not.
It's become such a simple holiday now. Let's just go watch some
Whenever I
fireworks.
see the fireworks, I go, oh, he was so close. If I hadn't count him in that dungeon.
When is it going to be okay for us to start reenacting other terrorist acts?
Oh, no.
That's the thing. I'm not going to go any further than that, but... we are in fact celebrating the fact he tried.
We've had the discussion on the show in terms of when is it okay to make a game about like historic events, because like we used to play, we played Call of Duty Medal Assault. We've done Call of Duty. We were like,
Call of Duty Medal Assault.
Call of Duty Medal Assault.
Put them over every
Retrograde.
Get those medals. No, but it's true. But then, we've got up to the point with Vietnam. I think we've done. I mean, Modern Warfare is kind of based in like Gulf War.
Well, now they're doing Advanced Warfare. They're going into the future already.
Yeah.
It's not.
Which scares me because that means we've got a war coming.
Well, we've still got ghosts to happen yet. The space station's going to be taken over.
I think it's. I have always been of the opinion that it's kind of fine to, as long as it's not gratuitous or obviously ridiculous or offensive. I think it's okay to create a game based on any kind of tragic event that happened recently. I mean, as long as it's like you can't just make it like you're racking up points by killing innocent people or whatever. But if there's some kind of point, if you're telling a story or if there's some kind of message, I think it's okay.
I agree. I agree with like certain historical events. If there's been a tragedy, so they do not slip out the mind. People know these things.
Yeah.
Like, I find it quite sad that the Second World War veterans are slowly but surely, there's going to be no one left to tell a first-hand story.
Exactly.
And all we rely on is media to kind of remind
like
us what
Band
it was
Brothers.
like.
That is actually going to be something that people look at and then think of World War II and actually associate what happened with the vague intellectual concept of the war. You know, we need this sort of reinforcement to actually feel any kind of emotive attachment to it.
That's why I want to watch
Oh, the cat's on! No!
Oh, get off that laptop, cat!
He's good. He knows.
You'll get World War III. Right. Okay. That was a very poignant end to the show.
Yes, Stanley has decreed there to be no more show.
So, thank you for listening, and you can find all information about this show and all links regarding this podcast as well, and all other sister podcasts as well at Psychon.net. That's CSICON.net. So make sure to check it out. And just a reminder again, the Retrograde podcast is hosted.
Electro podcast
again, and just a reminder that I wish we'd call this podcast like ABC podcast, if I could say it right.
You'd be like,
I'd be like BCD. I've done it again.
BSE. No.
Just a reminder that Retrograde is hosted on the Psychon network. So head over to psychon.tv to become a patron for our show and sponsor us, and we'll do loads more episodes and stuff like that. We're going to be back in 2 weeks where we're going to be playing Grand Theft Auto 2.
Yes.
Chosen by Anthony. Again, everyone just went, oh, not 2. Why 2?
I bought Grand Theft Auto 1 when it was still new-ish. Got it mail order. I'll tell this story in the next episode, so I shouldn't go into much detail. But since I've played so much of that, and I really sort of find the 2D style interesting more than the 3D style because that's a lot more modern.
Is that the one where you have gangs in it and you have to...
Might well do, yeah.
Yeah, you have to do stuff for gangs and you get kind of in favour with one and less out of favour with another.
Yeah, so just the fact that Grand Theft Auto 2 is a game I played less, I wanted to do it purely because I'll be coming from a less nostalgic standpoint because I played a lot of Grand Theft Auto 1 when I was younger.
I love the thought of you running up to your PC like less nostalgic, I'm less nostalgic, then sit down and start playing it.
Just rap music from the radios.
You're describing me so perfectly.
So yeah, we plan that in 2 weeks. But if you can't wait that long, you are in for a real treat, listeners. I mean, we treat you so well; it's unbelievable. The only way we treat you better if we came in your house and like stroked you as you're falling asleep, because we are doing a live episode. I think it's a live episode actually, but we're going to be going to Retromania 2 in a couple of weeks, and we're going to be putting out an episode of that hosted by the Retro Asylum guys. So keep an eye on our Twitter, because we'll be tweeting about that, and you can have a listen to what Waffle will be talking about in a Retromania 2
Yeah, we should really let them know.
retro event thing.
Are you going to be taking badges? I'm sorry if I'm.
We're going to be taking badges, but we haven't got many. So if you are coming, make sure to come up to me and say,
they are
"Can I get
limited
a badge?"
edition.
They are limited edition.
Can we just
super rare.
photocopy some of them?
I'm going to have to got to make them safe as well, with the health and safety of the event as well. I'm going to have to put little
Oh, you have to
bits of
scrub. You
fluff
have to
on
scrub
them.
off the human feces from the bins.
That's how they're made. Anyway, so keep an eye on our Twitter feed and make sure you watch out for that. But that's a goodbye from me, Jack Marshall. A goodbye from Anthony Hobday.
Goodbye.
A goodbye from Lou. I wrote Lizanne Fisher there. Goodbye from James McFadden.
Oh.
No,
No.
you did it the wrong way around.
surely-
Sorry,
am I not
God, 'cause you
Lizanne?
do think.
Goodbye from Neil.
Goodbye from Anthony Hobday.
Goodbye.
A goodbye from Neil Skinner.
Bye.
And a goodbye from James McFadden.
Oh, hey guys, listen. Now is the right time to start playing Dota 2, okay? If you've ever had a passing interest, it's totally free to play. It's made by Valve, so it's great. And if you do play Dota 2, you should pick up a compendium, because it's a very valuable purchase. See you later.